Chapter 23 is a great example of Isaiah's words serving as prophecies for our day. The literal fulfillment of Isaiah's prophecy against Tyre didn't happen anciently. There's no record of its being destroyed by the sea. But through other prophets, we know that a type of this will happen in our day. I won't read the whole chapter. The King James translation is so difficult that we need several translations to understand it. But he says that this is a burden or prophecy of doom against Tyre. Tyre was, and still is, a seaport on the Mediterranean coast about 100 miles north of Jerusalem. He calls it the daughter of Zidon because it was founded on a small island by people in Sidon, which is another seaport about 20 miles to the south. Tyre quickly outgrew her predecessor and became perhaps the busiest port in the world. Most of Babylon's wealth entered through it. Most of Solomon's wealth came through it. Although it was originally founded on a small island, it was soon connected to the coast by a land bridge. Isaiah begins by telling the ships of Tarshish to howl in grief. The ships of Tarshish were the largest ships in the world, carrying commerce from the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. The sailors on these ships are now told not to go to Tyre because it no longer exists. Then, as word spreads, all people mourn, from Egypt to Spain, where Tarshish may have been. Isaiah then asks a rhetorical question. Who planned this against Tyre, the bestower of crowns, whose merchants are princes, whose traders are renowned in the earth? Then he quickly answers it. The Lord of heaven's armies has done it to destroy your pride and bring low all earth's nobility. Let's look at this question again. He calls Tyre the bestower of crowns, whose merchants are princes. Do we see a connection to our day here? What could Tyre be a type of? According to Isaiah, the city is exultant, loud, and joyous. Its people bestow crowns on their leading citizens, people who are honored throughout the known world. And again, it was originally built on an island, which has since been bridged to the mainland. It's one of the busiest seaports in the world and supports the growth of Babylon. London is on an island, and it once had the largest seaport in the world. And, perhaps coincidentally, its people bestow crowns on royalty. But Manhattan is also an island, and it's also a major seaport, one of the largest in the Western Hemisphere. And of course, it certainly supports Babylon. But in a greater sense, other ports also qualify. Shanghai is the world's busiest port today, and the ports of Los Angeles, Singapore, Seattle, and others also serve the needs of Babylon. It's interesting. Nearly 200 years ago, Brigham Young made this prophecy. You will hear of magnificent cities that are now idolized by the people, sinking in the earth, entombing the inhabitants. The sea will heave itself beyond its bounds, engulfing mighty cities. This wouldn't just be one city. He said the sea would engulf mighty cities. Other prophets also spoke of Tyre as a type and shadow of the last days. Ezekiel said, For thus saith the Lord God, When I shall make thee, Tyre, a desolate city, like the cities that are not inhabited, when I shall bring up the deep upon thee, and great waters shall cover thee, when I shall bring thee down with them that descend into the pit, with the people of old time, and shall set thee in the low parts of the earth, thou shalt be no more. Though thou be sought for, yet shalt thou never be found again, saith the Lord God. Lest we forget, this prophecy hasn't been fulfilled yet. But Ezekiel doubled down on it in the next chapter. He said, In the time when thou, Tyre, shall be broken by the seas and the depths of the water, thy merchandise and all thy company in the midst of thee shall fall. Again, these prophecies were not fulfilled anciently. Tyre is still here. But in the great and dreadful day of the Lord, they will be. For the Lord reiterated similar prophecies in the last days. For after your testimony, meaning after the missionary's testimony is finished, cometh the testimony of earthquakes, and also cometh the testimony of the voice of thunderings, and the voice of lightnings, and the voice of tempests, and the voice of the waves of the sea, heaving themselves beyond their bounds. Toward the end of his prophecy, Isaiah then adds this, And it shall come to pass in that day that Tyre shall be forgotten 70 years, And after the end of 70 years shall Tyre sing as an harlot. This seems to make little sense, and I wonder if a word or two was left out, both here and in the next verse. As amended, it says, "And it shall come to pass after the end of 70 years that the Lord will visit Tyre, and she shall not turn to her hire or commit fornication with all the kingdoms of the world upon the face of the earth." In other words, 70 years after her destruction, or well into the millennium, this great seaport or seaports will rise again. But this time, their efforts will serve the needs of Zion, not Babylon. Then Isaiah finishes his prophecy. Her merchandise and hire shall be consecrated to Jehovah. It shall not be hoarded or stored up. Her commerce shall provide for those who dwell in the presence of Jehovah, that they may eat their fill and be elegantly clothed. In short, the burden of Tyre represents the end of commerce in much of Babylon. The final end is not yet, as we will see in the next chapter. But the world by this point in Isaiah's timeline is stumbling toward its final destruction, even to the desolation of abomination, which awaits the wicked. I'm Curtis Taylor with the Words of Isaiah.